Hey, Tony T.C. Coleman, drummer nose.
That's what I'm talking about.
Subscribe, like, and share on all platforms.
I'm back again. Welcome to Tony Coleman's Unlimited podcast of Drummer Knows Best. And today I have one of the best. I'm going to embarrass myself now in front of him. I shouldn't do
Oh no, you can practice.
that. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise on the computer. Lee Oskar, the one and only. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, Tony. I'm good, doing good. I'm glad
You look
there's only one of me. It's almost unbearable that way. With that, you don't want to deal with a lot more than just one like me. It's too confusing.
You're always busy, man. Every time I either I'm crisscrossing you or seeing you online doing stuff, and you and your company, man, your harmonica company, everything's pretty busy for you, huh?
Yeah. I got to do a lot of things just to buy a piece of bread. Some people one thing and they get bread. They get a piece of bread. It's not that I got a lot of money or anything. It's just that I got to do a lot of things just to be able to buy a dinner each day.
I'm trying to back away from too many dinners.
Uh,
I'm getting healthier. I'm trying to eat better.
So what's
But
up, Tony? This is really this is fantastic. I feel like this is your natural thing, man, to do this stuff. You love people and you always like to engage and stuff. So
I do love people, Lee, and I'm glad that you're here on my Drummer Knows Best podcast, and it's something I've been talking about doing, and now I'm doing it. So it's really a lot of fun, and I've got a lot of great people on there, including yourself. So we're gonna keep doing it, and it's not gonna be a one-time thing. You can come back later and tell me what you tell all of us what you're doing and stuff. So thank you for
okay.
being on it.
Thank you for the invitations. I made that plural. You just said I'm invited again after this. Okay.
Yeah. See what y'all don't know. Listen, I'm gonna tell the people about you right now, Lee.
Okay.
Uh, everybody, y'all know who Lee Oskar is. I don't have to be going through. He started out, he was a little kid, blah blah blah. Everybody know who you are, and they know where you came from. I mean, I don't know. It's a three letter word. Am I okay to say the 3 letter word?
You can say anything you wish. The federal judge didn't do anything to you.
Well, Lee Oskar
But
is
I don't
war.
want to talk about all this legal stuff if that's what
Oh,
you
I
want.
ain't gonna talk about that, but I mean, I can't, it'd be nuts for me not to acknowledge that you're from War, the harmonica player of War, which
Well,
now, because of legalities and all of that nonsensical stuff, you can't get into all of that, but you are War. Your harmonica, in my opinion, is one of the most well-known harmonica sounds and performances in the entire planet. Your harmonica playing. Now, that's my opinion. I didn't say it's the fact, but that's the way I feel about it. A lot of people from different genres of music love your playing and your sound, man.
Okay. I don't know how to handle that, but thank you.
Well, it's a fact, man. I mean,
Okay,
you
so
you
yeah, go ahead. I'm
you
sorry.
you're playing the songs, all those great songs you guys did, man. If you was not on those tracks, I mean, it's great material, but you have the distinct ingredient in War. Yours.
Um, I appreciate your opinion, but um, my look at things is that I was part of a band. That was a dream come true to be part of a band, and what I did was what I did, and I look at it. It wasn't the glue of the band. It was the ice cream. It was the whip. It's the cake itself, man. If you take the funk and all this stuff out, the stuff that the other guys did. I mean, Howard Scott and Harold Brown, man, and B.B. Dickerson. That was such an amazing combination. Um, you know, it just puts the right fire behind, whatever. So I was just putting coloring into things. So that was, and the horn section was a big deal to me. So
Yeah.
I got to do my dream, a harmonica with a saxophone playing melody lines together as counter melodies to the melody of the song was what I consider the horn section of the band.
Of course, I love BB Dickerson's bass
He
and
was
BB.
great. He was wonderful singer and
That sound he had and the way he played was just he played bass. He was like a James Jamerson type of bass player. He wasn't doing a whole lot of
no,
nonsensical stuff. He was grooving. And
he was
Harold,
real,
man, I
yeah.
love Harold's drum sound and his style of playing drums. The two of them, that rhythm was grooving, man. And then you put Howard in there with his singing and his guitar playing. He had an old gospel soul funkiness about his guitar playing. And
Yeah.
then you take Lonnie was with that organ in there, and of course y'all, but I mean, everybody, all of the guys. But me growing up a young black kid down south, I anytime I heard harmonicas, it was with blues stuff, and being a young black kid, hearing my parents, my neighbors listening to the blues, bop, 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 bop. You hear the 145, all of that Junior Wells, and all that stuff. But when you played harmonica, it made us go, yeah, because you was in the middle of that funk y'all were doing, and it was like, yeah, this is cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm just saying that's the way we felt about it.
Right.
So when you hear pop, 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 we know where that is. Everybody know that. We hear pop, 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 pop. Yeah, we know what that is.
Okay. There you go.
So so when you started out playing harmonica, who were you listening to? Were you listening to the blues cats or like Toots Tittleman and stuff like that? Who were you listening to?
No, in my situation, I wasn't an exception. It's not, it was basically, a turntable record player was a luxury and it's not something we had. The only thing I had, if there was anything to listen to music other than myself, would have been the radio. And radio back then didn't have the different categories of genres of music, all that. It was just music. You would have Ray Charles and Duke Ellington, or you would have Björling singing an opera, or you would have I can't even think of so many people, but it was just music, all in the same program. It wasn't like, okay, now we're doing symphonies and now we're doing jazz. It was just music. So I was, that's how I grew up. I failed music in school. I got zero in school in music, but I also speak English. I got zero in English too. I'm from Denmark, right? But no, the journey I've been on since I got my harmonica at 6 years old has always been just that imagination of that whole thing about being in an orchestra and music, and it was just my calling. It just connected with me. Every kid got a harmonica that summer, but when I
Yeah.
got my harmonica, man, it was, I didn't go from harmonica to a yo-yo to a hula hoop. I stay with the harmonica.
Well, I'm glad you dropped the yo-yo and stayed with the harmonica.
I
We
could have
we
been
don't.
I could have been a professional yo-yo. Who knows?
I don't think that would have touched as many souls if you've done all your
Yeah, but I
life.
mean, but you don't do it to touch the souls, although that is the game. You just you connect something when you're a kid. And there was three things I was really into. I was into my manga and music. I was into entomology, study of insects, and I was into drawing and painting. And yet it wasn't blessed by any teachers or anything. I was just I might look like a lost soul. I was just in my world, man. I was not. I
I
was.
was drawing and painting as well. That was my thing. Always music, drawing, and painting little watercolors and stuff.
There you go. I couldn't even
Coloring
afford
crayon.
watercolors. Food colors is what I had to use when I used these colors.
Ah. And then crayons.
Yeah, we had crayons too. Yeah.
But I'm still trying to figure out. It's no way in the world you could have any way in the world imagined growing up in Denmark that you were going to be in a great band like War and stuff. I mean, that's not something you just know. And then here you are. You guys you guys you moved to the USA and then you guys hooked up and started playing. What was that all about?
Well, I mean, I came to the United States. I was 18. I came to the United States 1966. I got to California in 67. I was in Haight-Ashbury and right in the middle of that loving human being, man. And I was stuck there because I wanted to go from the Haight-Ashbury where I was there, to find a place to crash, to find a way down to Los Angeles because that was my mission to try to find a record deal or something, Capitol Records. I mean, I was just starstruck. I got to go down there. And I was stuck up in San Francisco because I got arrested for public nuisance and loitering, and I had to uh, go to trial. And this kid, and I pleaded not guilty. Well, it would, yeah. We don't need to get stuck in that, but to answer your question, when I got to LA, I was on the streets. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, I was basically on the streets and try to knock on doors and that. And I met Eric Burton at a place called the Experience. It was on
Hmm.
Sunset Boulevard, and it was way, way east of La Cienega, La Brea, way east of the Whiskey a Go Go, the Sunset Strip. That was
Yeah.
problem. It was so it wasn't a very appealing place for a lot of young people. But this guy, Marshall Brevet, started a club. And his whole thing was, he has jams every night and we all wanted to jam. Back in those days, I would stand in line, if I had a band, I would stand in line to hope my band can audition. So the club's got free music. There were 10 bands on audition and maybe five got to play, as they call it.
Yeah.
And so the club got free music, and then nobody, and the other five bands never got to play. If I had money, I'd pay to play. I mean,
You're right.
it was that addictive and that important in my soul. It wasn't like I was looking at a watch and say, well, I'm going to give it this much time. If I don't get anything happening in record business or anything, then I'm not going to play music or quit. No, no. You're literally you're literally crippled, if you will, in society if you don't get to do your arts because it's that important a compounding in your own soul. It's not a career. You have to make it a career because you got to do something to put food on the table. And if it occupies you, like the music for me, the passion, all that, and I have an occupation. I'm so occupied that I don't take vacations. It would kill me to vacate.
Yeah, I know. We're like that. I don't want to be on vacation. I love what we do. I love it. I talk to a lot of different musicians, and a lot of them would say, "Yeah, I saw such and such person on television, and the girls are screaming and blah blah blah." And I said, "That's what I want to do." Man, I didn't care about no girls, about no nothing. I just wanted to play. I didn't care how, when, or where. I just wanted to play. You know what I mean? And I
Well,
still have that. I still have that feeling. And to hear you say about jam sessions when we were coming up, I mean, I'm 69. I'll be 70 in August. But there were clubs, so many clubs with bands and the musicians, because we didn't have jobs, we had musicians that would be actually trying to turn you on to a place to get a gig. Like, yeah, man, go over to such and such street at the Flamingo Club. It'll be a band. Yeah, you go over there and start playing, man. You play good, that kind of thing.
yeah.
Everybody in the arts was like, yeah, I want to see you be successful. And then you get a gig and then you keep getting gigs, and then bam, you're in a band and you're a war and you go, you guys do Eric Burden, and then you become War, and then you're bang.
Well, I mean, you never know, but my whole ambition is is to get through the gate to be acknowledged or recognized or to be part of that whole thing, you know. And so, you know, when somebody would say, what do you play? I play harmonica. Yeah, what else do you play? You know, you had all those things, but you know, it's interesting. I remember one time back when I was living in Malibu, I had a house in Malibu in LA, and there was a big union strike with the musicians. And I knew Gary Grant, the trumpet player, Slide High, the trombone player, all these guys who were amazing musicians and were really also occupied a lot with studio work. So they had a lifestyle where they made a lot of money, but they didn't even know what they played on. They didn't even care. It was just reading the chart next, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then so they had all these houses and all that. And then when the strike hit, the union strike and all that, and they didn't have gigs because there was this big strike. It was amazing. They came knocking on my door, Slide High and Gary Grant, and said, "Man, I can't believe it. We've all wanted since we were younger to, you know, be part of a real band, and we got into studio work and and when the strike hit, I realized that it's not you know it's not what we love doing, but it's like, you know, makes a lot of money. But we want to start a band. Lee, let's do something." So, but as soon as the strike was over, bang, right back in the studio in the routines. you know,
Right.
you know. Fortunately, I didn't have the skills to read music and all those things that those have a toolbox that's needed to be a studio musician.
Mm.
I can be the artist. You want sound, you want to do what I do, you want to hear what I do, no problem. I'm all for that. That's my calling. But to sit there and be told what to play rather than being involved or, you know, infused in it and say, oh man, you know, and feel something. It's you're told what to play. If you're not told what to play, you just stand there. Okay, what do you want me to do?
Right.
You know, it's that's the studio musician. I mean, they have the skills academic to read the shit, you know, but it doesn't mean at the end of the day that they walk out of the studio and fell in love with anything they did. Matter of fact, most of it don't even remember. I remember
Right.
Gary Grant, he had me come to the house because I put him on my album, my Road, Our Road, and I had him do solos. And he couldn't believe it. I had him do many solos. I play from beginning
Right.
and we'll use whatever we want to use. Really? So so he had me come to his house he's been second trumpet because Blue Mitchell was the first trumpet. So he was always
Mm.
second trumpet, Gary Grant. And so he had me listen to all these records because he's been all the records. Like I'm supposed to listen in on like listen to my second part here, right? It's no, it's music is a magic thing. So is any arts, not just the music.
So
Any
when you so when you and Charles Miller, man, you guys come up with some nice compliments. You're playing together. Did you and he just take charge of deciding on what to play with those songs, or
Oh
was it
yeah,
just
I mean everything that you hear, if you hear BB playing a bass line, if you hear Howard playing the guitar, you hear me play the harmonica, whatever you hear, nobody played what somebody else told them to play. We'd be in fights. We were literally getting fights. You start telling me what to play.
I love it.
We really couldn't tolerate someone, you know, maybe someone, hey, Howard, maybe try that C sharp major that, you know, maybe like that. But you say, hey, Howard, that's, you know, no. We were truly a, a jam band. And, you know, I remember Eric Burden because I had, you know, BS and lied to try to get through the gate. You know, I mean, in other words, I wasn't going to allow the fact that I'm illiterate reading music, you know,
Mm.
that was going to be an obstacle that's going to go against my will and what I wanted to achieve, right? I didn't want
Yeah.
to be, oh, you can't read, you're not a musician, because there was a lot of that back then.
Oh yeah.
So I would, you know, lie basically, because in my head I can hear string signs, horn parts, I can call it out, things, but I can't read charts. You
You're
know?
right.
So, but Eric Burden, I thought that he was impressed with the fact of believing what I could do. I didn't realize it was he believed me because what he was sold on was my feeling and the way I play, you see. Right. And that was wonderful, but I didn't realize that. And so he sends me down to Long Beach to the rehearsal. We had this little place where Charles Miller had this garage and we rehearsed it. And I started to tell him, hey guys, Eric wants to learn this song and that and this and that. And so Papa D would say, sit down, just sit down, just shut up. So it was like that. Yeah.
When I remember Spill the Wine, that must have been exciting to have a hit record. I mean, with all the bands, because when you guys were out there performing, it was about bands. It wasn't about artists. It was about bands. There were so many bands, rock bands, blues bands, soul bands, funk bands, bands. But when you guys got Spill the Wine, man, that must have really just elevated everything for you.
Well, it was, listen, in my ambition and everything, I mean, I was just excited to be a part of a band. I wasn't one of those people that could sit there and say, "Oh, I don't know if I want that guitar player." I mean, I was just thankful. It would be like if I'm starving for a meal, I'm not going to be picky. Whatever meal they give me, I'm excited. It's not,
Yeah, of course.
oh, this is not gourmet. Or this is not, no, no. I was just happy to be part of a band. I had no idea how good anybody was or anything. I just wanted to be part of something.
Yeah, well,
That's where I came from. And yeah, and everybody, I mean, when we played, it was we would play. I don't know if did I answer. I don't know. Maybe I missed the question, but I'm
no, you answered it. It's cool. It's cool, Lee. Hey, look, I ain't gonna never be Mr. Professional Podcast Guy. We just
no,
talking.
yeah. I just said so many things trigger when I hear it. Like I remember
Yeah.
one time we were the opening act for oh my God, Isaac Hayes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we heard Isaac's record. We all were fans of it, and we were excited we were going to be on the same bill, opening up in these nice venues that these days are like 3,000 seater, not big, but not small and musical,
Mm.
you know. And we were on the tour with Isaac Hayes. So we lasted, I think, 3 shows. Then we were booted off. The first the first night we got I think our opening act, we were 20 minutes to play before Isaac Hayes comes up.
Okay.
So we were jamming, I think it was World is a Ghetto or was it Get Down or something. That was it, 20 minutes. I mean, we 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 would just play, play the shit. I mean, we just jamming,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
We were told to stop. The people went nuts and wanted us to play more. So Isaac Hayes we weren't happy with that.
Of course not.
And so the next day, he gave us 15 minutes, and we were jamming. The third day, 10 minutes, and then he told us we got to go because we were kicking ass, man, and this.
See,
And
that's what I loved about you guys. So we hear the records and we know it's got to be, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever for the radio.
Edited from a big jam, baby.
Right. But then when you guys would perform live, you would take it to the next level. And that's what you like. That's what made it exciting is listen and see you guys live because you never know where you guys are gonna go. And then you're just playing. You're not even rehearsing. You're just jamming. You're just letting your spirit flow. You're just opening up and playing. It wasn't like D, B, C, D, E, F, G. Thank you. A, B, C, D. You guys go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X amount of P, blah, 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 blah. We're going around the moon. Y'all was just gone, man.
So check this out. You're right. So check this out. So being in that era where it was just starting to, national TV was just starting to accept things that were identified as rock and roll. In that day, we were scary people, right? Like rock and all that stuff because we're gonna sabotage. We're gonna, TVs out of windows, whatever.
Right.
There was the whole thing that went with it. So we were on some of these shows, like Merv Griffin show, Mike Douglas. These these top talk shows,
Yeah.
and we're doing the dress rehearsal, the dressing with the cameras. Now we don't know. Obviously it was not for us, it's for them to like we were doing Cisco Kid, I think it was. They wanted Cisco Kid. And so they would have the cameras, to see what we're doing before they actually do the take, right? So we're playing, man, and we're jamming. And like 10 minutes into this thing, we like 10 minutes into it. Also, I open my eyes and everybody else, and they realize this guy's been standing for a long time trying to stop us. And then we were pissed because like we were that's sacred, man. We were like just getting started, man. This felt good.
You're right.
But he stopped us, right?
Yeah. You didn't even realize, we got to be at a certain
Oh, right.
square.
No, so the sound from above your record is 3 minutes and 58 seconds. So we had to go in the green room. We got in fights. We can't listen to that and try to play, That's so the interesting thing about all that was, the product called Music Minus One?
I don't.
That was an American product that was exported all over the world in the 50s and 60s. And it's reel-to-reel tape back then because they didn't have digital.
Oh, okay.
What it was is the, standard classic, whether it's jazz ballads like In the Sentimental Mood or you name it, whatever, you would actually have a great arrangement, or, minus the lead vocal or minus the leads, whatever. So it was to practice or whatever. When that was exported to all over the world, in Japan, they embraced it, and that's what they call karaoke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They call it karaoke.
Yeah.
There was an American product called Music Minus One.
Okay, I didn't know what it was called. But
No, that's what it was, American product, but people don't realize. So the Japanese embraced it and they call it karaoke, which means empty quiet.
Okay, and we call it karaoke.
Well, that's Japanese, but I'm saying you're calling the Japanese. You're not acknowledging the American product. What I'm saying, the American
right
became big in certain places, and in Japan, it sold a lot of reverb and a lot of alcohol because
okay.
People be in the clubs, and there's women there, and the owners would get the women to hustle the guys to buy more drinks, making them feel.
Right.
So all of a sudden, these dudes be drinking, and they think they sound good. A lot of reverb, and so it became very popular in Japan. And then they shipped that product over to the United States with new technology, digital, and I call it karaoke.
Okay.
And called it karaoke, not realizing it was an American product called Music Minus One. Now, why I'm saying this is also because it's interesting how people don't learn from each other. So in the TV industry, when a band like us get on stage, the first thing they do is have us play like we did. Then they realize, oh my God, they're going into the commercial if we're jamming, so they fade us out. Then that's going to make the consumers or the people that they're trying to watch their show because they're war fans now. So we're a leader for that. That's why you're on those shows, right? So you imagine the fans saying, "What the fuck? They just cut them off," So that doesn't look cool for their show and all that they had to fade it out because we were over 3 minutes and 58 seconds. We still jamming.
Right.
We're still jamming, right? So then the TV industry said, okay, we're just going to have them lip sync. So that's what they were lip syncing, and then that didn't look right? Remember that?
I remember. I used to watch, and you could tell you would wait to see somebody screw up lip syncing.
Right. So my point is that then they went to lip sync. Then they finally realized that didn't look right either because if anybody. If the fans are coming on the show because you're using that's because it's commercials and they want to make sure people are watching the show for the ratings and people are complaining because their favorite band got cut off and they finally then got to what we call TV mixes, and that is when when we mix our records today, starting back then, when they finally realized we do what they call TV mixes, is that you mix the mixes you're doing. You do the same mix, take out the lead guitar, take out the vocal, so you have the exact track and the same length. And then live, they play the solo or sing with it, so it looks like all real, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But they went through all that because that was music -1. That's what they could have, if they had learned from the 50s and 60s, they wouldn't have to go through all this shit, right?
Right.
That's my point.
Okay.
You know,
I get it.
it's a, yeah.
No, but I mean, you guys were like probably 10 bands that did what you guys did. I mean, as far as extending your songs. That's why, once again, that's why I prefer to hear the live records. I couldn't wait to hear the live records because you get to hear the artistry and everything, you know, as opposed to the, you know, the simplicity of just getting a radio time track or whatever. Now,
Do you
the
know they?
more,
I mean, I don't want to cut you up, but just keep the thought there. But do you know that in those days, because the radio wouldn't play it if it was over 3 minutes 58 seconds, some people actually would put 3 minutes 58 seconds on it, and it was actually 6 minutes.
okay, that was that was slick, and then they go,
There's
hey,
all kinds of slick
this
games
ain't
people
3 minutes.
play back.
What the hell? Yeah.
Oh no, and they wouldn't even well, no, because it was uncommercial radio. Some of the
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
that was the new thing.
So when all those hits, man, all those
Yeah.
sing along, loving songs, man, gosh, so I was in the military in 73 to 76. I joined the Army to get away from Kissimmee, Florida, a little small town near Orlando, Florida, you know, and I had a dream of becoming a successful musician because of guys like all you guys. So I had bands and we cover your songs, you know, and all of that, you know, everybody did World is a Ghetto. And we look at your album covers, man. We love the album cover art. And then, you know, why can't we be friends? You know, all of that. We love you, right? So I'm in the Army and we got a band and we're playing your songs. And then you guys are on tour. I was in Fort Riley, Kansas, and you were on tour in Kansas City, Missouri with the Ohio Players were the opening act.
Yeah, I remember
Now,
you came to the show.
yeah, no, I'm gonna tell this story. I gotta share this story. This is so crazy.
Yeah, okay,
I must share this story.
please.
So me and my friend, we're in the Army,
Right.
and we're sitting up in the stands, getting ready to watch you guys, and Ohio Players are on, and we're like, yeah. And then I say, man, let's go down there and try to go backstage, man. Let's sneak backstage. Let's try to get backstage, which I did. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to get us backstage. And you were like walking backstage, and I stopped you and I said, Lee Oskar. And the way I said it, it's kind of like I didn't say it like, oh, Lee Oskar, like a fan. I was like, hey, Lee Oskar, what's up? He was like, fine, man, what's up? And then I said, hey, could I talk to you for a second? He said, sure. And we're backstage, and I said, hey, man, I'm in the Army, and I'm a drummer, and my friend's a bass player, and we love you guys, man. And man, what could you tell us to do to be where you guys are? You said, hey, man, you don't have a pass. Let me get you a pass. You got us 2 passes, and you guys would rehearse before you go on stage. You would jam.
Not
And
you ever heard of jam. Yeah, always just
jam. Yeah, not rehearse, but you jam. You have a jam session.
Yeah.
So you said, we're getting ready to warm up and do a little jam. Come on, and just come on in. And you introduced us to all of you
Papa
guys.
D? Remember I introduced you to Papa D?
Yes, you did. And then, and I was like, dang, I'm here with Lee and the boy. And so I was so happy. And then you said, hey, man, listen, whenever you get out of the Army, come out to LA and pursue your career. And you gave me the address to your office. It was on Sunset, where you guys
Yeah, 7417 Sunset Boulevard, right.
for our productions.
Right.
And so I actually came out there, and I remember trying to come to the gate, and one of the Chambers brothers was working your gate.
Joe Chambers.
Yeah. And he said, they told you to come here? I said, yeah. He said, well, they're not here yet, but they're going to be rehearsing later on. And there was a hamburger place right next to there.
I called it Joe Burger, but I never knew it was actually called Sunset Grill. You see that on the wall on the World is a Ghetto album cover.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember we were sitting there, I was sitting there with some friends eating a burger, looking at far out, which is where the Guitar Center
It's
is
out
now.
about the building, right?
Yeah. And then I saw Harold drive up in a yellow Porsche.
That's right. We
And I
call it
said,
a bumblebee. That's right.
yeah, I said, Harold, you said, yeah. I said, hey man, he said, I'll get back with you. And he pulled in, and then my friend said, hey man, we gotta go. Man, you have to come back, man, because we gotta go. He had borrowed his mother's car or something. He said, we'll come back. And I left, but I didn't get to come in and hang with you guys. But that was the first experience with a very successful artist, and it was you. You were the first cat, man, for Tony Coleman, man. And I love you. I love you. I love all you guys, man. And
Thank you.
there's another part of the story that I'm not even going to talk about. It takes forever, but that was that set me off, man. Thank you for that. That's the way you were. That's the way you guys are. You've always been like, inclusive. You never act exclusive. Like if it was a musician, it was like you were brothers, man. And that's
Yeah.
missing today. That's missing today with cats, man.
Well, I mean, it's missing, but the reason it is missing, you're right, a lot, and a lot of it is that I think it's the sensationalism of the music business, unfortunately, is bigger than the music itself. So,
Right.
so, so every kid is like from the time they're born, they are constantly saturated with parents and giving them doing having to do music and rock and roll and I mean no kids get I don't even see kids getting a microscope these days. They don't even know what a microscope is. It's all about playing a guitar, keyboard. So everybody thinks they're going to be a musician and everybody thinks they're going to be famous and it's gotten so homogenized
Yeah.
in so many wrong directions that the mediocrity, which is always ruled, but mediocrity is even bigger than ever. There's
It
always
is.
there's always going to be excellent things. So, but it's so saturated, so it's so lost within it that relatively to recognize something that really has the magic because it's in the mud with so many things that are everybody even when we used to do anything just be in a studio that was like gold. We it was like next to having starving. You didn't have a piece of bread. You'll give up anything for a piece of bread. It was almost like you give anything up just to be in the studio. Because there was audio buffs years ago that made their own microphones, preamps, and had a sound, and then that was the place. Now they clone that stuff from been for many years now. They clone it, and you can go to the guitar center anywhere, and you can buy if you have the money to buy that. Next thing you know, you're an engineer, and you have your own studio.
Right.
So everything. So there's so much stuff that's done as under the name of music that to me is there's a lot of I don't want to say garbage or anything. Let everybody enjoy
No,
what they.
I'll say it for you. You don't have to.
No,
It's
no, but
garbage.
no. It's not garbage in the sense I want to be. What I'm saying, everybody enjoy. Let people enjoy, even feeling they're an engineer and all that. But that's the good part. But the sad part of it is that it's got to be, there's got to be something recognized in how you get there. For example, oh, you got to write your own songs. Well, that's like saying, I want to be an actor, but to be an actor, I got to write my own script.
Right. Yeah.
I got to do the camera work myself. So when somebody thinks they can do all these different things, oh yeah, I play all the instruments, I do all that. So what? I mean, at the end of the day, there's not depth, there's not feeling, And so I admire like songwriters, not the way it is today, but the real songwriter from years ago. And I look for those things where it's a real strong melody, and the lyrics are very unique. Today, most songs that they call great songs, the lyrics might be unique, but it's really mundane, the music, because the person who writes the song, he knows a couple of chords on the guitar, just a couple of chords. So he starts with the chords. It's already going to reel in where melody can go and not go. You see? So,
Yeah,
so
but
so if you're playing a melody that's very mundane, that's already, made the
yeah,
song not. I'm hearing feedback and stuff.
oh, it's probably my mic setting. I'm gonna.
Not feedback, like I'm hearing back my own voice. So sorry.
Oh.
But anyhow,
Well,
I
I don't. I just want to say this, Lee. The reason I think it's garbage, it's not so much as what a person does with his artistry that makes it garbage. It's the mentality that makes it garbage. It's like, why does it always have to be people trying to make another one like the other one? Like, you got songs that came out years and years ago you forgot about that became very successful, but the songs that you guys did and bands like you, Earth, Wind and Fire, or the Beatles or whoever, it was songs that you remembered the melodies and you remembered the words. But now I don't even, you can ask me about the greatest artist that's selling out billions of dollars worth of tickets. I don't even know what song that person sings. And
yeah.
if and I can't, it's like music. We were about the human spirit of music. I got a song, and I, like you say, I'll come to you and say, Lee, I got an idea for a song, man. It's called "Me and Leo Driving Today." Do 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 do. We're going this way. And then we do 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 do. And you say, "Hey, why don't I add this to it?" I go, "No, no, 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 no. I don't want that." But back in the days, like you said, you didn't tell each other each what to play. You guys said, "Oh, I got something to add to that," and then
Yeah.
it becomes like we're doing a dance together.
But you see, but you see, not even getting there. Most people, what I was going to, and I got off on this tangent, not a tangent, but to explain,
No, no.
is that is Tony, that back in those days, it was part of the DNA is that to play, you jam together. Now the DNA is that you got to perfect the band and have your own thing. So when you play somewhere, you don't want somebody to come and sit in and jam with you because that is not
Yes.
playing. So everybody now is got to, every time everybody got to play now, they want to play like as if it's their what is it we always call it when we play like the rainbow places. They would showcase like I'm playing my gig. I'm showcasing. So it's become very homogenized. And back in those days, we would just jam, not because we got together because we got a gig. We
Exactly.
played all the time whether we got a gig or not, and hoping we could get more and more gigs.
When I was out there with BB King, Bobby Blue Bland, Johnny Guitar Watson, and Albert King, and we're all on the bill together. Guarantee you, without a doubt, all three of those guys gonna end up on stage jamming at some point together because they felt like, hey man, let's have a little fun. Come on up and play. That's the way it was. Like we're all in a family of musicians. We're a musical family. Didn't matter. Roy Clark would come sit in, and BB say, "Hey, play my guitar." And Roy Clark said, "No, man, I can play the bass. Though, you mind if I play bass?" Sure. He don't know if he can play the bass or not, but he didn't question it. Yeah. You mind if I play your bass? Yeah. And jam. And then you got just traveling around the world and running into uh, Peter Tosh and Jimmy Cliff at the airport, and Peter Tosh and Jimmy Cliff are talking to BB about, BB man, when you gonna do some reggae, man? And BB go, well, when you gonna do some blues? And they say, BB, everything we do, man, is blues. But and then BB's manager says to me, Tony, you should keep those Jamaican guys away from us. Do you smell all that herb on them? They're gonna think BB's smoking that. I said, man, they know BB don't smoke. They know those guys smoke. He go, and you actually suggest that they play BB play with them. I said, yeah, yeah. What's wrong with? Can you imagine it would have been Peter Tosh, Jimmy Cliff, and BB King on a record together?
I think it'd be magic.
Yeah, so that's what's missing today. Like everybody want to stay in their little zone, like, hey man, don't come over here with us, man. We got something special we're doing.
But our
You know,
thing.
It's
Yeah.
music. We're musicians and artists. We play together and we share creative ideas,
Yeah. And then you notice when they do a jam, when there's a jam, oh my God. Like, yeah, I love blues, man. The 1-4-5 changes is very contagious. So I'm not knocking that, but I am knocking the fact is that that's all the person knows, and doesn't even play with feeling. It's more mimicking. So anyhow, I want to talk about the shit that works, not the stuff that don't work. So let's
Yes.
so much.
We're having a conversation that, believe me, millions of people agree with us. We're just saying it out loud because,
Can I tell you this, man? Can I tell you this?
yes,
I
please.
I came to a conclusion, opinion, whatever it is about, you know, here I am. I'm in love what I do. I call it an occupation. That means I'm occupied what I do. It would kill me to vacate.
You're right.
And people that jobs, they have to vacate. Vacations, people need skills, but they're not in love with what the skills are being used. It's just a great job, but it's not occupying them what they love it. They look forward to the weekends or vacations, whatever. When you talk about uh, the music, what was it going, man? My brain, and then I heard all of my voice again. I
Yeah, it
was,
happens. You're an artist. That always happens to me. I'm thinking about four different things at once.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, oh man, I got so much going on in my head.
I get it.
It's probably come back, and I may just jump on it. But go ahead. Oh, one of the things I want to share. Then tell me, can I go back? You remember we just mentioned about the guitar center, about the building, right? And there
Yeah.
was Burger. And Joe Burger is what we called. We made that hamburger place you talk about very famous because we were in that area, like I said, east of the La Cienega and all that. And so
Mhm.
we made that place popular where it wasn't the Sunset Strip. We were much east of that. Well, Guitar Center, one little store, Guitar Center store opened up. There was one store, the first store. The main office, Guitar Center, was at Valley Administration, but the store itself was across the street on a corner. And and prior to that, um, before the Guitar Center was there, we every day ate a Joe Burger every day. That was
Yeah.
Joe Burger. You couldn't see the marquee that said Sunset Grill. I never knew it was called Sunset Grill. We called it Joe Burger. So,
Okay.
when I was the art director for War, I want to make sure that because I'm into the graphics too. So I went through the whole thing of getting Howard Miller with my concept, the world is a ghetto cover and all that. And I had in there, you'll see Joe Burger, and we're standing there. So I gave it to Joe at Joe Burger, and I never saw him put it up anything. I didn't understand. They made a permanent plaque of it. Anyway, a few years later, Guitar Center's across the street. I started my manufacturing. This is 1983 now,
Hmm.
and I went into the Guitar Center there because I made the deal. They were my first account for Lee Oskar Harmonicas, that one store.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I was in there to talk to the in-house manager of that store because I was working some promotional stuff out. So I'm across the street from our Joe Burger in our office, right? A building. And there's no there's a lot of traffic, but there's no
Crosswalk.
crosswalk there. And I'm standing there just messed by Sunset Grill because you can read it from across the street, but not where
Yeah.
yeah. When did they change that? And as I'm like walking across the street, cars are almost hitting me. I was just blown away. Anyway, I get back on the other side and I can't see my key. I walk up and Joe hasn't seen me long. Hey Joe, oh, it's excited. I said, when did you change the name? He was just like glazed. He didn't even know what I was talking about. So then the band The Eagles, did a song called Down at Sunset Grill. They had gone into Guitar Center there probably, and whatever it is, because that was for the guitars and all that.
Yeah.
Heard about Sunset Grill, Joe Burger, probably because we made it so popular that they called it by the right name and did a song. So me and Hale Brown, moving forward, we about 10 years ago, we went together, met up there, and we went to Guitar Center now. And we went there
Right.
a lot, and we see remnants still from where we all had our names and parking there, because that was all our property, right? And,
Yeah.
and I said to Hale, I said, man, we must be like Lawrence Welk to because the Guitar Center, nobody has any idea what we were the ones that occupied before, and we were this well-known band. And Joe Berger, as everybody called it, Sunset Grill, had now two stores. That building next door up, and Joe himself is not working anymore. He had sold it, and there's black and white, pictures, images, photographs of a lot of the artists, hip hop rappers and all that. Like it's like, and nothing us, right? Like I mean, this whole history that we were part of, that was there, made all that happen. It's not even part of the artifact. That's why I said, hell, we must be like Lawrence Welk, man. It's like another era, which it is.
Well, that breaks my heart to hear a story like that, because it's so funny now. Like when I think about going to Europe and Japan and places that we go, I mean, I've been to 98 countries around the world, as well as traveling the world playing our music. And that story you just told me now, there's somebody in Japan or somewhere in Italy that would know that story. They would know your history, man, and they would look at you and go, you're amazing, and I'm honored to know you. That's the way I feel about all of us, you guys, and we don't appreciate where stuff comes from. That's why knowing history is so important, man, to know that history of how things were created and what the environment was. And it's just, it lets you know that, man, life can be anything you want it to be, but before you can know where you're going, you got to know where you come from, man. You just got to.
But check
And
that out. But check out when you're saying that, what's even now, you don't even have packages when you don't have vinyl, you don't have CDs, generally speaking. People download the music. So what's even left now, even more out of the equation, is the liner notes, the credits. Nobody sees anything. They just something they downloaded without even any kind of knowledge and who played on it and whatever it is. So it's gotten more and more homogenized in that sense.
well, you're absolutely right. Like when I was playing with Jamie Johnson, the country artist, and I introduced you to Jamie, and Jamie knew who you was. He's like, yeah, that's Lee Oskar, that's War, that's the harmonica player. And Jamie said to me, hey, Tony Coleman, you think he'd want to sit in with us?
Although is
I
that when
said,
I sat in with you at BB King's Blues Club?
no, that was when I was doing my thing. But I'm talking about when I came to Seattle with Jamie Johnson, the country artist, and you
Oh,
came to,
that was brilliant, man. Yeah, man.
yeah. But see, what I'm saying is, here's a guy that's supposed to be a country, country guy, but
Yeah.
he still know music, and he like your music, and he was like, hey,
He's a
Tony, you think?
he's a
I'm
soul,
sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
he's a soulful singer, man.
Very soulful. One of the best singers I ever worked with.
Yeah.
Soulful singer. But the point I'm making is, once again, let's have him come up and play with it if he wants to. That's the way you do it. You take a little bit of the different spices here and a little bit of sweetness there, and you come up with some nice flavors, man. And like Willie, I've been knowing Willie Nelson. He's been like a big brother to me, man. He's BB King, Willie Nelson, Ray Charles, those guys, man. Their whole thing was, let's go play and have some fun. And like I said, it's not exclusive, no, we're inclusive, man. And that's what
Yeah.
makes music so good for the world. And we got to get back to doing organic, what I consider organic music. Like that was organic that night, you sitting in with Jamie Johnson.
Well, we were in an era because, like we explained, technologies and the way the industries. We were in an era back, like Ted Turner. He bought all those movies, films. So that means that films that we'd only never seen before that didn't become a hit or sat on the shelf. And today, We are not. We are now out of the era of the music that was that era we're talking about, where there was so much creative stuff. Now all these major companies are buying all the publishing because that era is kind of gone as based on even we talked about how it's changed. So that era of the music business that's gone, it's now the publishing, and you're going to see a lot of things on television that because they bought the not only publishing, but that means they also got rights to the masters, so they can not just give sync rights to other people doing the tunes, but actually literally the original recordings that what people think of that landscape of music or whatever in their life is used on a lot of commercials on television. That's the new business in the music industry, really, is the publishing, not your recordings itself, as selling, downloading music. That makes a lot of money if you sell billions. You download,
Yeah,
there's millions. It's not even that much revenues, but it's good.
right.
But the music business where you make the money today is the publishing or the writers from the compositions that publishing is now marketing. Okay.
Yes, yes, of course. But I want to ask you a question, and this is not a legal question. I want to ask. I'm thinking as we speak. You guys, man, like most bands, we like you say, we have the liner notes, we had the album covers, we saw your artwork, and we buy T-shirts with the artwork and War logo, and you guys sitting there posing together. All the bands that did that. You're really, really successful around the world. Everybody loves your music, all this, that. But then you guys break up and because of whatever, which we ain't getting into none of that. I ain't even talking about that. But you're still here and you're still alive. Why is it so damn difficult for bands when they break up or have disagreements to just say, man, fuck that, put that aside, man. Let's just play again one time while we're still alive and just play again for just one for the ones who's gone and that was with us. Let's just come together and play and just forget everything just for the music and the people. Put aside all our egos, our problems, our issues with one another, and just for one moment, let's just record and play something together again and say, and then go to hell after that. But why is that so difficult that you think to happen?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but in our scenario, there's two things. One is that from the business side, that took on just bad things that messed the legalities. That took a lot of toil, and also, emotionally, you divide and conquered and divide or divide and conquered. Like, I mean, and some of the guys have passed away, so it wouldn't be the same
Yeah, right, right.
live. Okay, look, you got Lonnie playing the keyboard with that band now using the name War. The bottom line is that he doesn't own the name Lonnie Jordan. He has no say. He's just a yo-yo, the ex-manager. That's all he is. He's a yo-yo. Okay, and that's my opinion. And the integrity along with that is that for him to pretend or to be whatever in the position he's put himself, here's another song we wrote. It's nice guys that wrote it.
You're right.
Or like my parents used to love, walks up to a lot of the musicians that are playing that band. My parents used to love you guys, all that. Oh, thank you very much. Don't say, oh, thank you. I feel honored too that I can play under that name Warm, because they don't call it a tribute band, they call it Warm. And then
I know.
they justify as business, it's the evolution of Warm. Well, that's hell of an evolution. It's gone downhill. Then to me, they ain't not all from it that I would be bragging about. It's pretty. When I watched it, the other day, I started crying, man, because it was so lame and pathetic. Each of these guys on stage look at me and I play, and they might be all individual players, but they got no business playing our stuff and call it war. In my opinion, the chemistry is not there. It's so the name itself is controlled by the ex-manager. So there's no way I would feel good about. Why would I want to do what? Hey, Lonnie, come on and play with us. You know. Anyhow, there's a lot of. I've spent more time on legality than I've actually played music with my colleagues, Harold Brown, Howard Scott. If you add up all the years played music, it's really a small amount of time we played together compared to the amount of time we had to spend on just fighting for our lives legally to have food on the table. Okay. So that's your answer.
It makes me sad because you guys are alive. You're still alive, and you're healthy. Thank God for that. And that's the sad part about the music sometimes, that the egos and the legalities of some managers taking advantage of the situation and make, they didn't record shit, but they get all the money because they happen to manage some successful artists. And that part about this business sucks. And I hate that. I hate that, like my career I could be a more famous, successful drummer if I would do a lot of ass kissing, but I don't know how to do that. I
Well,
gotta be.
and not to what you the statement you just made, just so I can clarify, because I'm putting myself out there to say these things, which I don't want to be legal and some stuff. The point I want to make really is that there was two guys in management, and the one guy, Steve Gold, was brilliant. To me, he was brilliant. He's passed though. And Jerry, the other guy, the manager, is, he owns the name War and all that.
Right.
And it's important to him, however he thinks he wants to do it. But he was in the studio. He was a great producer. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be jamming in the studio, because most producers that would say, "Oh, it's too expensive. You got to
Right.
you got to have it all prepared and play exactly, work it out so you don't make mistakes when you come in, because we're paying for time in the studio." That was the approach, because Eric Burton being a very very in the moment, which was the best thing that could ever happen for me. He was as big as Mick Jagger, Eric Burton, the Animals, back then, and I was allowed to be part of that band that he wanted to have, and not be told what to play. And I was always in the moment playing. Every time we played, it's different. I could never play the same way twice and feel like it was in the moment, because I didn't want to play from thinking. I'm playing from here.
Yeah.
I had great opportunities to explore my own self. We all had a great opportunity to embrace music in the way we thought music should be. That was a privilege to me, compared to, I see a lot of people don't have that platform.
Yeah. Excuse me. I agree with all of that, what you just said. I agree with that. But it's a part of this industry, what we do as artists and musicians, that it's not all, peace, love, and, all of that. And we don't like to talk about that part about it. But hey, man, there should be a warning clause and stuff that lets people know who are trying to do what we do and what we have done, that be careful, because make sure you don't, in other words, have a contract amongst each other to say, when this thing starts happening, man, we got to protect ourselves, and we got to be aware of people trying to come between us and manipulating us and taking it from us, and
You're so right. You're so
telling this guy, screw them, you're the guy, and we don't need them, and you be like an asshole, start believing that, and going against your brothers or your sisters, thinking it's all about you. And that's the part that musicians don't talk about. I'm glad we're having a little bit of a conversation about it. That's total bullshit. If you start out, we got to know that we stay together, we stick together, and nobody come between us. And the moment we see somebody coming doing that shit, they're out of here. You're trying to be, divide and conquer us.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and and for whatever reason, a lot of musicians, because we got big egos about ourselves, we all got that little narcissistic thing about who we are. But don't let that shit go to your head and be like, it ain't all about you, man. You started out together, stay together, and I think we should have an agreement, like, okay, let's have a contract amongst ourselves as a band. I miss bands. I miss bands. But because of what I'm talking about, we don't have bands because one guy listened to the outside guy tell you, work with me and we'll make you be the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I totally agree with you there.
So bands, if you're starting bands, in my opinion, get an attorney, get a plan on the finances, the fiscal part, be a band, say, when we become successful, because if we keep doing good music and we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to become successful. But when that happens, if you start feeling like it's all about you and bullshit like that, now we're going to pull you over and we're going to have a little,
Right.
we're going to have to take you in here in the room over here, and we're going to have a little discussion about what we agreed on, to not allow that to happen, because ain't no damn way in the world people gonna sit there and go look at Lonnie, and I'm not talking about no personal shit, but you can't look at Lonnie up there with War, with the logo War and all that, and playing those hit songs you guys put together. Ain't no fucking way I'm gonna sit there and go, yeah, that's War. No, and if somebody
A
die
lot of
in the
people
band,
do. And there's a lot,
what?
and there's a lot of people do what they
No,
do.
I get that part, but I'm just simply saying it's a lot of people that do, but
Even say to
they
me,
look.
even say to me, Tony, I have the nerve. They don't even realize about it. Is, hey Lee, I saw War last night.
But what I'm saying is, if somebody, the original guys on the album cover, start to die, whoever's alive or still here and still together, we know that's War. You're representing War's music that you guys did together. So the music is going to always be good if it's played properly. Of course, it ain't going to have the same feel because they're not there anymore, but it's your music. You wrote it, you played it, you're on the fucking record. It's your music. So it should be something said that you can't do that. You're not, there's several bands, of course, that have that issue.
Yeah, but Tony, uh, I agree with the integrity of people being aware and being collectively having that loyalty and that whatever you want to call it. That, but in often there are things that, like you say, like even it's not just the men themselves. Even like the minute I did my solo album, Tony, I I wanted to make I put War on that harmonica. That's the first cover called just Lee Oskar because it was very typical notion assumption that people would assume once if an artist is in a band and then usually the singer is now singing without the band or whatever, it's like the Spinners or anything like that, they assume, oh, he left the band.
You're right.
And even when I did these promotional parties I did on the road that the United Artists supported, and we did a whole press party and all that. It was amazing how many people came up to me and say, Lee, congratulations that you finally left the band and doing your own thing. And I was like, no, I didn't leave the band. And what do you mean?
Right.
Congratulations. So the reason why I did the whole album and the reason why I wanted to put War in there so nobody assumed I left the band because that was the expectation. But I did solo albums because on the creative side that we all were, I felt everything belonged to us. Something comes to mind. But through time, when I went into the studio with something I had already pre-composed partly, that I hear and I did, the guys are trying to play it and they did what they did. But it didn't feel right to me. Then I realized we all have in us more than just what we do together jamming, or more than we do when
Yeah.
this kid is slipping in the darkness. Howard Scott brought that to the table. but it got marinated and got be what it is between all of us. But so I realized that everybody probably has things. Like I know Papa D. Allen used to talk about he wants to do opera or something like that. And it's, so everybody has some things in them that is not necessarily part of the DNA, the way we play together as jamming. So why wouldn't we want to do, in addition to the war albums, everybody do their own albums, and we would have 8 hits. You know, we have war, and then and then 7 individual on the charts, and we embrace each other and tell the world we're here together to support you for the music. We don't have to be creative have to get away to get creative. We support each other, so it's always about that. You don't have to leave to do something else.
Exactly, exactly. So to add on to what you're saying, I trip on that all the time because okay, we got a group, we got the band, whatever. All of us, we're band, la, 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 here we are, da, 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 da. And then we're doing good. Look at us, we're going, shh, we're going, yeah. And then all of a sudden you say, hey, I got some ideas for myself that I want to do on my own. And you go up to the band and say, can I take you guys mind if I do my own record, take some time going, yeah, man, go ahead. But I'm not leaving the group, but I'm not going to leave the group.
But I never even.
I'm going to go off and do backwards flips and stuff on my own. And then I go out there and do that. And it's like, cool. Now we have a bigger umbrella now to work with.
Yeah. And in my case, I never said to anybody or considered, hey, I eked out time without ever interrupting the flow.
Yeah.
I never missed a gig. I wasn't like, well, I'm busy doing my thing now and I'll be back. No. It was totally loyal. Everything was the soul and the integrity. Everything was all part of the same gears. It was, I had to separate myself or no. That's how I felt about it all. It was all part of the legal stuff and the stuff that, there's a lot of things that takes place in the music business to it's like a lottery ticket to have a hit. It's not just because the music is good. It takes a lot to get there. And I admire and respect that. I learned that. It doesn't just come automatically because you're a great band. But there needs to be a two-way to it. I believe if I was a manager, I would make sure that everybody, as naive as they are, I want to make sure they understand how the music business works. And not be afraid to scare them, but have them educate them. Because that way they can appreciate, if I'm a manager, they can appreciate what I have to do to harvest something. And some years the product you can't harvest. There's bad sun. So it's important for everybody to understand how it works, not to all of a sudden keep them in the dark because, you're afraid they're going to think you are, by hustling you are, you're not to be trusted. There's a lot of problems with the music business where an artist will sign a contract and not understand what the hell they sign. To me, that's being dishonest.
Of course.
But it's just we all been dishonest. When I signed these things and I didn't know what I agreed to, that was being dishonest. Because I'm not literally like expected, whatever we're your family and all that. So I've learned to say you only earn, Tony, what you know how to claim. If you
okay.
didn't fucking earn it.
Say it again, please.
Only earn what you know how to claim. If you don't have to be brilliant in business, but at least understand some things about how it works, whether it's trademark, copyrights, or whatever it is. If you earned it, you should know how to claim it. If you didn't claim it right, you didn't earn it. So that's a responsibility in the business side to support your arts, to support your music.
Yes.
You have to understand some of that.
Well, Lee, and when I'm talking to you, I'm not just talking to you about we're talking about war. I'm talking about all of you guys, Papa D, Charles, everybody. You know, you, and I make sure I say this to everybody that I talk to on my podcast. We fucking love you guys. I love you, man.
Thank you.
Because your music, man, the music you guys made, man, I don't give a damn where you be. You could be in Indonesia, you could be in Japan, you could be in Morocco, and you hear. That's you. That's your ass. The whole world love you guys. And you guys who played that music together, forget all the management bullshit. You guys together, man, you have made the world so fucking happy, man, with your music, what you created. And thank you for that, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And
And thank you.
back at you. You one of the fine drummers, man, that I've ever heard and played with, man.
Thank you, man.
And congratulations, because it was really nice. I enjoyed this conversation because I've talked about these things because I bring it up, but the way you asked and the way you talk about things, it was really nice. I felt that there's some depth to these things. So you have a podcast show. I think it's a natural thing for you, man.
Oh, thank you.
It's great.
Well, I just know that there's ways to talk about the truth without somebody getting pissed off about it. I'm just talking about a fact. It's like, hey man, if you want to roll down the road, you got to have a wheel, man. You know, you can't have a block, you know. I mean, let's just be real. Let's keep it real. Everybody, keep it real, keep it real. Well, let's keep it real, man. I mean, come on. BB, I hear a lot of people say to me, you know, they don't know that I also play with Bobby Blue Bland, Albert King, Johnny Taylor, all these different soul and blues artists. But all the time, people will come up to me, Lee, and say, "Hey, Tony, man, I want you to hear this guy, man. This kid, he sounds just like BB King, man." And I go, "Really?" And then I'll be like this, "Oh yeah, yeah, man." I say, "Okay." And what's your point? He sounds just like fucking BB King. I go, "Well, what's his name?" He go, "His name is Elmore Green or something." Let me see, Elmore Green, BB King. I think he should be trying to be Elmore Green, don't you? Nice meeting you, man. You know, it's like just be inspired and influenced by people, but be yourself. Just be yourself, you know.
Well,
And no,
that's tough for a lot of people. I mean, they may understand that concept if they hear you say it, but to actually be in it in that type of a way, that means musically you got to be totally, you got to be find yourself connected rather than try to polish something that you're influenced by and think that's what you got to celebrate. It's hard for people to separate what they inspired from and to find themselves, you know, I think.
can you hear me?
No, the reason why you can't on Zoom, you have to put it in. It won't allow you to hear. If
Yeah, excuse me, folks. Yeah, you gotta do the microphone set
the
it a
musical
certain way.
instrument thing, because the other day I
Yeah.
was working with somebody long distance with harmonica. That's not a Lee Oskar Harmonica. What are you doing, man?
Well, Rick Astring gave me this one. I got the
I
ones you gave me.
gave it to you because he didn't like the harmonica because it's not a.
Oh, I got busted.
He can't afford to give some good shit away. Are you kidding me?
Hey man, listen.
Kidding.
Now you and I have been talking. I know we gotta go, but listen, we gotta get on damn recording together. We've been talking about this forever, man.
I like, you know, there's so much it comes to mind to share with you and people out there. I think it's worthy uh, to learn and recognize because I mean I got funny stories and funny points of view, different things. It's been a journey, but a
Yeah.
good one.
Well, keep on doing what you're doing, and also, not only you're playing, and you can't hear this, but if the music was turned off and I couldn't hear any music, and I could barely see who's on stage. If I see this, Lee, you be in it, boy. You be in it, man. You be in it.
Till the first time you see yourself on television and you get embarrassed. Because I thought I was standing still. I didn't know I was. I can barely touch my toes to try to exercise, but when I was in my zone, I'd be all over the place and didn't realize. It's interesting to have that energy, when your heart and soul. As a drummer,
Yeah.
you can be practicing home and think you're playing really hard or whatever it is, but when you're on stage, it's that other thing that comes in.
That's right. It's a whole different animal, but man, I love you, man. Thank you so much for doing my podcast. And we'll be able to do it again, and I'll have all my little things sorted out where.
I'm impressed, to be honest with you. It's pretty nice. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you, man.
Tony, thank you. Thanks for having me
And
on.
I know one more question. One of my songs that that you guys did, that you Beatles in a Ball.
Oh yeah, Beatles in the Ball.
That was that one of the ones where you just went in there and just went for it? You didn't have it orchestrated out and written out, right?
Nothing was ever orchestrated. No, we did.
You just went in and jammed it.
Well, that was Carrie.
I love that song. I love that song.
Yeah, Carrie, my ex-wife, she wrote the lyrics actually.
Oh, okay.
And so after this jam, I came into the studio with her words and I said, hey, this would be the chant we got to put on this. Yeah, that's what we did. When the da 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 da. Yeah, Beatles in the Ball.
Beatles in a Ball. Okay, one more. I said I was going, but wait, I got one more that I like, when you guys do. I'm a gypsy man.
Gypsy Man, yeah.
I'm a gypsy man. Ah, Anyway, I was inspired to do that. I wrote a song called "Take Me as I Am," and I was listening to Gypsy Man, and that's what inspired me to play it. So I didn't copy it note for note, but that was the reason.
I mean, we all inspired from each other, I would hope, or
Yeah.
influence. I can tell you this, man. We are we are social creatures. We like a privacy and we like a social. And
Yeah.
everybody doesn't do it at the same time. That's why sometimes you clash, okay? I want my fucking privacy, you want to hang out, or I want to hang out.
Right.
But music and any art, if I was on a desert island, that's the better way I could put it, on a desert island, and I'm standing there and there's no other human beings, I don't believe that I would continue playing music as we think of music, or painting because part of my thing in doing it is to be acknowledged, is to communicate. And if there's no human beings, I would look at the snake, the frog, the bird, something, and find some way, hello, and just that might create a whole nother way artistically to express what I feel and see, to try to communicate with that. I don't think it would be the same as it is when I'm there every day in my love and my art, and it's I have a gallery next with my paintings and that. I mean, we seek acknowledgement, and so we have to make things tangible. If it's not tangible, people can't feel it. But if I'm at the island and no human beings to make it tangible, and I got to make it tangible with a snake, you saying it would be Bobby Bobby da?
Right.
Like,
I don't think so.
maybe some food or something, and then find, oh, if I get the snake to go to like that, like, oh, I don't know. I'm just saying we are, the arts. My fiduciary responsibility as an artist is that I must express all and everything that comes through me.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm in a society as other human beings. That's fiduciary responsibility. Just like a journalist's fiduciary responsibility is not to express everything that comes through them. They're there to try to keep the personal thing out of the way and
Yeah, right.
observe and report what they see without the emotion.
Exactly.
And then the politician's fiduciary responsibility is to learn from that so they can know what people are thinking so they can put the right policies in place. That is the very clean way of looking at things, not like what people think about journalists and what they think about politicians. But the artist has never been included like it should be, because the artist is the human expression of what goes on, not the solution, not what the facts are, but how you're feeling in relation to what goes on. That part should always be monitored too, so we can learn what people need in society.
I like that, Lee. And on that note, I'm gonna let you have that, let that marinate.